Hello and welcome to the show, Valerie, here with the
you.
Men's Shelter of Lloydminster. Would you mind telling our audience a little bit about what you do with the organization?
I am the executive director, have been since 2018, so a little bit pre-COVID.
Okay, and I see you brought a friend here. Would you mind introducing your friend?
Sure, this is Michael Davison. He's the chair of our board.
And as the board chair, can you tell me a little bit about what the day-to-day looks like?
Most of my job involves making sure that really Val has everything she needs to support her team and make sure that the shelter stays open and everyone is content with the services we provide the community. And then a fair bit of advocacy work. So I'm not afraid to hop on the phones and call our MLAs or call members of the community and ask for help or tell her story or whatever is needed to just make sure that Val can do her job.
Awesome, and I know every different kind of business, charity, and organization has faced a variety of challenges over the last year as we've transitioned out of the pandemic, and I imagine your organization would be particularly affected. So could you talk a little bit about how the last year has been in that transition, and for either of you?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. When the pandemic hit, we were lucky to receive some additional funding from our generous governments to support our clients 24/7. So just to lessen their footprint in the community, keep them safe. And you know, that has been through the winter for 2 winters. This is our 3rd winter now going 24/7. But it's not without its challenges, for sure. We've seen an increase in some mental health struggles with our clients and you know, some addiction stuff that we would see with some clients and maybe, you know, a little bit more of that.
And were there particular challenges in the last year as the 24-hour cycle? No doubt there were some changes in operation in the 24-hour cycle as we came out of the pandemic with different, you know, cleanliness requirements and stuff like that. Has the, you know, day-to-day at the shelter changed much in the last year?
A little bit of loosening. When those restrictions were loosened, we followed suit. It's hard to maintain that level of structured day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
So we did loosen restrictions a bit, but we continue to keep the ones that are really important, which is sanitizing the shelter on a regular basis, and those things we were happy to sort of keep in place and that sort of thing.
Of course, of course. And of the last 12 months, have there been any particular challenges that have cropped up that have made things more difficult for you guys as an organization?
We're seeing an increase in people coming to the shelter for support, for sure, and different types of support. We see more women, lots more women coming, I think from other communities. They've made their way here, and there just isn't the support in place for them. So we are having them, we welcome them into our lobby, we keep them safe and warm and fed. And so there's that, just an increase in the diversity, more youth that are coming, and we're seeing an increase in families who are housed. They're housed in the community, but they don't have enough disposable income. Not that it's disposable income to feed your family, but they're not making it from check to check well, or from food bank visit to food bank visit. So they're coming in for some additional food hamper support from us, just to keep things going.
Yeah.
I can see, you know, broadly as I speak to a variety of organizations that the need is high right now amongst charitable organizations. It feels like the broader economy has really created a challenge for those who are disaffected or less fortunate. Are there any other major driving factors? I know you mentioned a real change in demographics of people who are receiving your support. And, you know, as a men's shelter first, I wonder, have you had to bring in new volunteers or staff members or develop new systems in order to handle, you know, families or women at risk or people who may have fallen previously outside of the scope of the things you were doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in our 24/7 mode right now, so it's certainly additional staffing. We're looking to arrange for an overflow site to use as a warming station, so all those people have a little bit more leg room, because our lobby is really small, really, really small for anyone that's been there. And we have at any given time between, gosh, 8 to 15 people in there, and it's shoulder to shoulder at any given time, and it's too cold to not have them in there, but they're sitting on each other's laps a bit. It's pretty tight.
It's really interesting to see, and we were just talking about this the other day, the dynamic that has shifted is we face a lot of the same challenges, I think, as many businesses are right now. We have the demand, but we don't either have the facility or the space to serve the people who need help. And then finding and recruiting staff is a big problem right now. So we do, going back to this 24/7 piece, have a contract with the government saying we'll provide 24/7 care and we'll feed you and we'll make sure that people are warm and safe, which allows us to provide more care than we normally would with our standard shelter. But we can't find the people, and it's just to staff it, right? And it takes a special kind of person to work at a shelter and volunteer at a shelter. In any given day, you might deal with some really extreme behaviors, and it'll just swing within a 10-minute period. So it's a very unique individual that we're looking for in a very unique space, right? We're looking for either a permanent location or a lease location in the short term of someone who kind of understands the hardships that we have and trying to figure that out. But that's tricky right now too. It's kind of a strange in-between thing that I think everybody in town is facing. Anyone who has a business and anyone who has a not-for-profit is just facing the same pressures.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to how your facility is, you've definitely outgrown it.
Yes.
There is a real requirement for additional space, particularly as you mentioned with the lobby getting so full at night when it gets so cold. I was curious, you mentioned about this special kind of individual. And not only like for any kind of volunteerism, you need a special kind of person who wants to spend their time, but also for those who do so professionally in your field. What are the qualities of a candidate? What is the kinds of education that somebody might get in order to come to an organization like yours and make a meaningful difference?
Lots of people come to us because they've had experiences with homelessness or being marginalized themselves, or they've had a family member, and it's just sort of where their heart is to help people in that level of need. So that's a lot of times it's people that want to be there because they know what it's like, firsthand or secondhand kind of thing.
I think that's true at every level too. So not just the staff, not just you, but even at the board level, each one of us sort of has a kind of a bleeding heart for this specific issue that relates to a relationship in our life or experience in our life. And just depending where we're at and what time we can commit in our careers is how we end up with a diverse set of people that we do across all levels of the organization. So,
yeah. And we have a lot of staff and our board as well who are all long-term. Like people come and they want to be a part of it. There's a lot of challenges with the clients that we serve, but there's also the rewards are amazing and immense, and the smallest good thing that happens to a client is just, it's like phenomenal. People don't understand it. Those baby steps are huge where we are.
I think that's a big thing. Talking about the kind of person that we need, you can't be the kind of person who wants perfection. Right? You have to be the kind of person who's satisfied with progress, and that's sort of the reality I think we live in day to day, month to month, year to year. When we talk about our government relationships, when we talk about incidents that happen over the weekend, what we shoot for is it's better than last year. I make some off-color jokes now and again, and we talk about we just don't want. I make this is a joke. I say we don't want anyone to die this winter. That's our goal. No one to freeze to death. And you say it for ha-has, but there was a time in Lloydminster where that was a real goal that we had to achieve as a community, is say we don't want somebody out there being exposed to the extreme conditions, and it's something that we strive for, and any improvement is improvement, and that's all we're really looking for. It might be too,
I think certainly a goal moving forward is to relocate to a space that is actually functional for the clients we serve, because I mean, I hate the thought that next year I'm going to be sitting here and we're still in the same little space and the women still don't have a dorm and a shower room and a bathroom, and that we're piecemealing people and supporting them, you know, without the ability to provide them with a dignified space and comfort. You know, like this is year 3 of our government funding to go 24/7, and we're no farther ahead. We need a space that, you know, we can welcome people in and give them some comfort and some respect and support them with dignity.
Absolutely. You know, a facility that did meet all of the requirements of an organization like yours. You know, I imagine you really have to do quite a bit of shopping around, and especially when you're, you know, heavily reliant on the various levels of government supporting you. Are there any specific organizations that you would like to work with to help you move forward with that? Or are there any steps that you're planning to take in the near future to move directly towards a future facility?
Oh boy, that's a great question. Is there any specific organization? It's hard to say. We have gone in the past to tour to other homeless shelters. Honestly, I'm open to working with any organization in town. There's a lot of overlap between us. Ours is probably the only organization. We're hoping to expand our mandate to be inclusive of anyone. So one thing we haven't touched on when we talk about the new building is right now the nature of our contracts. If you come to our facility, there's a wall, and then you go in and then it's men only, right? It's a men's only shelter. But in the lobby, we feed and keep warm and try to protect everybody, men, women, and children. And so what we want to do is we want to expand to accepting anybody inside of this new facility. And in that, we would be very unique in Lloydminster, right? So there's obviously organizations in town who talk about sheltering women and their young children. And there's organizations in town who might also let other people warm up in their facilities. But we would be the first in town, I think, who would be inclusive of everybody. So that kind of creates a unique challenge. So in those cases, as much as I love to work with everybody, we tend to reach out to other shelters. I know we've gone to Edmonton shelters to reach out to them. I know you work closely with other shelters in Saskatchewan to understand the unique challenges of an open and inclusive shelter space for everybody. And then in terms of, and what the second part was in terms of the building.
Yeah. You know, just talking about if there was specific goals you had for moving towards a new facility, whether that be like fundraising goals or more technical goals of specific locations you wanted to be, or specific aspects of the facility that you were aiming for. I imagine having a variety of spaces for showers and things like that, the sort of thing that you can't just find in any building.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we are kickstarting fundraising again after COVID, when it was just a dry time. So we're back on track with that. Our coldest night of the year is coming up in February. I think our coldest night of the year is, frankly, it's in December this year, maybe November. It was pretty darn cold. But our event is in February 25th, 2023, and that's our most well-known fundraising event of the year, because it's just closest to identifying how the challenges are that our clients face and how fragile life is for them in the winter, for sure. We'd love to partner with some community partners, businesses, you know, different organizations who are interested in being a part of moving us forward to a space that is more able to meet the needs of our clients.
Right. I want to really answer, I love that roadmap question. You got me really thinking. I'm going to actually just lean in.
Yeah, go ahead.
He said we have all the time in the world. How the roadmap works, it's so tricky. So I think the first step is fundraising, right? Money, money, money. And that fundraising is more about the money that we have, right? It's more about the $250,000 or $300,000 that we need. What that money is really about is we can go to somebody selling a property and show that we're serious, right? And we can show that the community is behind us. So 250, for us to get, I'm just picking a number, to get to $250,000 takes a lot of people in this community to buy into us and what we do to move that needle forward. So when we go, we can say we're serious and we have the community behind us. When we need to talk to the city to because we need to ask permission to open a shelter because it's a very specific kind of building with a very specific kind of expectations, we can say, and we have the people behind us, because look at everyone who stepped up to support us. When we go to the governments to say we need to change our contracts to expand our scope, and we have the people behind us, and then we have our stats, we can go to them, and then we can get into that building, and then we can do the hard work of actually doing the work. But it all starts with that campaign, it all starts with that fundraising, and then telling our story. So, sometimes it seems a little crass to be asked for money, but the truth is, it's not just about the money, it's about the story, it's about the people, and it's about going to our representatives and saying, look, there's a need here, there's support here, will you support us? And it all begins with the campaign.
I really, really appreciate you, as you say, fully leaning into that and, breaking down truly how the dominoes fall here, and that, at one end is somebody coming out of a terrible situation and into a beautiful one, but at the very beginning is you donating a little bit of money, a little bit of time, just caring, just letting people know about these important things happening in the community and what people can do to help. And on that note, is there anything specific that you would ask the people of Lloydminster to do to help advance your guys' goals?
If people are interested in doing a third-party fundraising event, that's great. We've had people do golf tournaments, and we're doing a golf tournament for you. We got it covered. And then they just give us the proceeds at the end of the day. That's wonderful. Just things like that sort of, because a fundraising event also brings more awareness. It brings more people going, oh, I didn't know that about your organization. I didn't know you guys did that. I didn't know you serve those kinds of people, or, the demographic thing and all that kind of stuff. So it increases a lot of things for us financially, as well as community awareness and new friends and partners,
Or even ask questions. I think that's a huge thing too.
Yeah.
That I wish often around the table, we talk about social media and we talk about being visible in the public, and it's sort of uncomfortable for us, I think, because what we really do isn't always visually appealing. Like the actual nitty-gritty of our work is a little bit unappealing to the wider community, And so I wish if you can't do anything else, ask us a good intentioned question on our Facebook page so we can respond and give you an honest answer and talk about the sorts of things that we actually face as an organization or with our clients. Of course, we see sometimes the occasional thing that gets said about us on Facebook, and that's just the way it is. But we can always explain things or help people to understand the perspective of the people that we serve or the organization that we run. So yeah, if nothing else, ask a question, right? Come to understand, and then if you feel like you can, step up and help help us with the story, put together a little campaign for us. Anything helps.
Well, and you mentioned so well there this idea of communicating in good faith and, actually being able to learn in that experience, right? Now, we are coming near to the end of this segment, so I wanted to make sure to ask you guys if there was anything else that you wanted to add before we wrapped up.
Oh, you did real good. We talked about the campaign. We talked a little about COVID.
Yeah, we'd love to have more walkers join us for Coldest Night of the Year. So people can join individually, or they can get a group of friends. Come on out. We serve goodies. It's just fun. We have so many repeat people every year. They really are fantastic, but we'd love to see some new faces.
That's right. And the toques alone.
And you get a free toque.
You get a toque, and they're always a little bit like spicy. Like they're never like, oh, this is a Carhartt toque. I'll look respectable. No, like the Coldest Night of the Year toque is always
You're wearing some flash.
It's a little bit out there. Last year's is orange, kind of a bright orange. And I love them. I love the toques. They're so distinct, and the buttons. I put my buttons on mine.
Yeah.
They're very distinct toques, and I love seeing the toques around town. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a really, really nice little addition when you see the memorabilia of your fundraiser out about in the town. Well, thank you guys both so much for coming into studio and speaking with us today, and we look forward to seeing you guys grow, and I really hope to come down to the grand unveiling of a new facility sometime next year.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you.